Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well today. So today I just wanted to share with you some books that I have, some books that I'm reading currently, books that I finished recently, and some books that I'm gonna read soon, as well as a small book haul at the end of this video. So the most recent book I read was Small Favors by Jim Butcher on my Kobo. This is another installation in the Dresden Files. As you all know, the Dresden Files is a very quick and digestible reads, but they also pack a punch, and they have very compelling characters and themes, a very lovable main character as well, and grapples a lot with morality and the meaning of life, while also being filled with epic monsters and fantastical creatures. So I really recommend it, this series, if you haven't heard of it before, to anybody who is interested in that kind of thing, fantasy, quick-paced stories, or anybody who is just interested in good storytelling, especially people who travel a lot. I think it really suits people who travel a lot, who read in short bursts. It is very easy to keep up with, and the characters are memorable, and like I said, very thrilling, and it always ends with a bang. So that was the most recent read. Before that, I finished a book that I talked about last week, and that was Gaza by Norman G. Finkelstein. What can I say about this book? It really opened my eyes to a lot of atrocities and controversial reporting in Gaza. Not to get into too many political conversations, but it really taught me a lot about certain operations, such as Operation Cast-Lead, Operation Protective Edge, and the Goldstone reports. It shed light into a lot of ignorant spaces in my head about Gaza, and I recommend anybody who wants to learn more about the sufferings and the injustices done to the Palestinian people. It's definitely a harder book to read, in my opinion, in terms of the content. A lot of things that are controversial to talk about, but I think it is also good to think about and digest. Norman G. Finkelstein also includes a lot of sources, so it's also good reading and references to a lot of other works, and I really enjoyed this book. And like I said, it was really eye-opening, and it was really a exceptional book. And the previous book that I read before that was A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, which I also mentioned in my previous video, one of my previous videos. To be honest, I really sped through this book. It was a great book for sure, and I recognize its significance and its importance in history, and how great Virginia Woolf was. I just didn't resonate with it. Maybe it was the time I read it. It wasn't the right frame of mind for me to read it in. I read certain passages about having women create their own space for writing fiction, the imbalances in the society in regards to men and women, the inequality, talking about lesbianism and other topics that are important to Virginia Woolf. Like I said, I didn't know what to make of it at first. Even though I enjoyed the writing, it just didn't stick in my head that much. So it's definitely something to consider getting back to. And even though it wasn't a read that I enjoyed per se, I still appreciated the content of it and its importance in history. And I would definitely get back to it once I know more and I become a deeper reader and a better reader, and I'm willing to spend more time on it. But it was definitely an experience getting to it at last. Okay, so let's get to the books that I am reading now. So I'm only reading one book currently, and that is Caesar by Adrian Goldsworthy. So I'm currently at the part where he gains his consulship and he's starting to gain power. I'm learning a lot about his political rivals, his ascent to power, his many sexual relations with women, the rumors that are spread about him, a lot of different policies that he made up, a lot of enemies that he made, and I'm excited to learn more about his eventual rule and his downfall and his assassination primarily. He's a very interesting figure and definitely a very compelling and charming person, and I can tell why he managed to rise to power. It's just very cool to me that I get to learn more about like such figures. Like I always see great figures in history, and I always want to get to many of them, and I'm glad that I finally got to one of the great figures in history, which is Julius Caesar. This book also has some pictures which I really like. I really like pictures in my books. And yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it and learning a lot of new things about Roman history. And I decided to branch out into many different historical figures like Pompey and Crassus and other Roman figures that are significant in history. So that's what I'm currently reading right now. Okay, let's get to the books which I am meaning to get to after this book, and that would be The Complete Essays of Michael de Montaigne, sorry. It's The Complete Essays of Michael de Montaigne. I read a lot about this book. I saw many people talking about this book and how great it is, but I never really knew like what these essays were about until I did some research a few days ago, and I found out that he's basically writing a lot on different topics and themes in life, giving little bits and pieces of wisdom and what he thinks of each topic. So on the cannibals, on schoolmasters learning, on fear, on the affection of fathers for their children. A lot of niche topics. Just by flipping through this is really pulling me into wanting to read this book. And when I first read about it, it really gripped me because I found that it's so rare for an author, especially such a prolific author. I'm assuming he's prolific. I don't know whether this is his only work, like whether his essays are the only works that he did, but I'm assuming it is. But it's really such a interesting and fascinating thought to read about what he thought about all these different topics, and I'm really excited to get into this, and I think it may be a contender for one of my favorite reads of the year, if it lives up to what I have in my head and the impression that I have in my head of what it is. But yeah, definitely very excited to get to this and share my thoughts with you when I eventually do. Okay, next I want to get to this book, The Southern Man by Greg Iles. This is the most recent installation in the Pancage series. So this is coming off the trilogy, the Natchez Burning trilogy, which ends off in quite a open-ended way. So I'm excited to see where Greg Iles goes with this book. It's a much more aged Pancage and deals with a lot more, I think, a bigger scope. I'm always excited to read Greg Iles. He is, in my opinion, one of the greatest writers ever so far that I've read, and he hasn't disappointed me so far, and I hope that this doesn't disappoint me as well. It's a big chunk of a book, but honestly, when it comes to Greg Iles, I look forward to reading every single page of it. I really enjoy his characters and his sensitivity when talking about racial and social issues, and his characters are compelling and very, sometimes their decisions really make you want to scream and shout, and sometimes want to, it makes you very, maybe very passionate about his characters, especially Pancage's wife, or his ex-wife, I should say. If you know, you know. But yeah, so this is the next book that I want to read after Michael de Montaigne, and both books I'm extremely excited to get to because, like I said, they are very intriguing to me. So Greg Iles. Okay, so the books that I'm going to read are done. Actually, I found more. I have this still, and I will get to it soon, but I'm still occupied with a few of the books that I'm reading, but eventually I'll get to this, maybe in about a week or two. I will get to this and I will let you know my thoughts, and I promise I will get back to you. Okay, so those are the books which I have read and I'm gonna read. So let's get on to some of the books I've got from my free library. So the first book I have is Doctors, The Biography of Medicine by Sherwin B. Newland. So Sherwin B. Newland was a doctor, obviously. He studied in Yale. And I read a lot about this book online, and I found very good reviews about it. And it's just a short and concise history of medicine. Western medicine, I might say. I don't think it talks about any Eastern type of medicine, more spiritual kind of medicine. But I always had a lot of respect for doctors and how they practice their craft. And even though I'm not too smart to understand like the intricacies of how medicine works and the biological nature of medicine, I'm very interested in the history and the evolution of medicine. And hopefully this book talks about more of the social application of medicine and how it was used throughout history, instead of just how medicine evolved from this drug to this drug, but more how it was administered to citizens as well. If not, I will still enjoy this book, but that is the part I'm more excited to learn about. And I think this is a good resource, and I would have learned about this book if it wasn't for the free library. So thank you to whoever put it there, because I'm about to get my hands into this book soon. So Doctors by Sherwin B. Newland. Next we have a book by Max Berry, that is Lexicon. I have no idea what this book is. I just searched it up and I saw many people talking about it, and it had somewhat good reviews, but I read the synopsis and I was hooked. So it was basically about a girl who is very good with words. She uses the power of words, so she has some powers which are associated with words, or something like that. That's the main gist of what I read. And I saw good reviews about it, people talking about it. And generally when a book has a lot of people talking about it, even though it has negative reception, it usually means the book is extremely layered. And I like books which make you think a lot more, even though they might not make you like the book. It makes you think about things that you might not like, instead of sticking to things that you always enjoy. Some books, I think, are good to balance out your reading mind. Also to read more books which are more controversial, so to speak. So I don't know whether this is one of those books, I'm just saying in general. But if it's one of those books, I'll also welcome it. And I flipped through this book because it's a brand new book, and whoever put it there is a saint, because it introduced me to a brand new author and a brand new book to get myself lost into. So there's certain parts where it's quite interestingly written. I think this is a newspaper article or something like that, and it's written quite uniquely, is that a word? In a unique way. So I'm interested in this book, very interested. I might add. So Lexicon by Max Berry. Okay, so we have 4 more books. So the next book I have is Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. So I read another book by him called Finding Chica, which was about his adoptive daughter from Africa and a slow and very depressing descent, but also hopeful and hopeful life living with cancer. And that book really made such a big impact on me. I still think about it sometimes here and there, even though I read it about 2 or 3 years ago. So with that, having that in mind, I have high hopes for this book as well. Tuesdays with Morrie is about Mitch Albom's mentor in university, one of his professors. So I've always been fascinated by mentorships, but how a person who has more experience or more insights into life teaches the student per se to make better decisions or guide them in life. And even though some mentors may not have the best advice or have the best experiences with what their student is going through, it's always interesting how mentors take into account what their student is going through and try to maximize their usefulness to the student, whoever they are. And the aspect of trying to do what's best for your student, or making use of what you know and applying it to your student is really interesting to me, because everybody has different experiences, everybody has different values and morals, and hopefully it explores some of their themes. And I'm sure some topics or themes he may not agree with his mentor, and that's perfectly okay. But yeah, I have no expectations with this book other than that, knowing Mitch Albom's reputation of writing very impactful books. It's a book that I'm excited to get to, and I'll let you know my thoughts after I'm finished with it. Okay, the next book is, from what I read, the most renowned biography of Marie Antoinette, who is the last French queen. So I have no idea. I have basically no knowledge about the French monarchy. So what a few things start to my introduction to French monarchy history with the last ever monarch. But yeah, it's the biography of Marie Antoinette. All I know about her is that she got beheaded, and if you were beheaded, then I don't know. I don't think people have a very good impression of you. But yeah, I'm interested to know what her life was like as a French monarch, and how she eventually got beheaded by the public. There are pictures inside, which I'm always happy to see. So yes, I was very happy to see this, because when I researched about it, it said that this was one of the most comprehensive biographies of her, and I've always been interested in the figure of Marie Antoinette. So yep, thank you to whoever put this book at the free library. Okay, the next book, the second last book, is Barbarian Days by William Finnegan. It is his memoir, or his biography. I'm surfing this because he travels around the world surfing, and he travels to South Pacific, Australia, Asia, and he calls his own apprenticeship, and he surfs the waves of the different oceans of the world. And I think he's quite a prolific writer in one of the most famous newspapers in the world. I think it's the New York Times or the New Yorker. Correct me if I'm wrong, but people love his writing, and people love his book. Apparently it was the 2016 Pulitzer Prize for biography, and when I saw that, it made a mark on me, and it made a good impression on me, because it's the Pulitzer Prize is the biggest, one of the biggest prizes in literature or biography for that case. So I'm very excited to get this book, to get to this book as well, Barbarian Days by William Finnegan. I don't know much about surfing as well, so very good to learn about that. Okay, lastly, the fitting end to end the video with is The Witches by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is one of my favorite authors. He was one of my favorite authors growing up. I read a collection of his short stories. I read many of his books, and I love all of them. And I especially love the illustrator Quentin Blake. All of his illustrations are just so charming, and they add so much personality and just a lot of nostalgia to the books. And he has such a unique way of drawing. And sometimes it's so funny to see how he draws certain characters. And it's pretty funny because there's a cookie shop in Singapore called Ben's Cookies, and in the shop title, or like the sign, it has an illustration that he did for them. And I'm also happy to see that, because I really love Quentin Blake and his illustrations, and I just love his style. And there's so much nostalgia attached to Roald Dahl, and especially Quentin Blake's illustrations. And I'm most happy to see a good, short, nice children's book by Roald Dahl. He's one of my favorite authors, and whenever I see it, I always pick it up. So yes, those are all the books that I have. Sorry if I'm a bit more low energy today, or a bit more dull. It's pretty late for me, and I'm a bit quite tired from today's work, but hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much for all the comments and all the interactions you've had with me, especially the emails and the comments and the likes and subscribers, the new subscribers. I really appreciate all of you, whoever who comments and just makes my day whenever someone comments, and yeah, I really appreciate all of you. I hope you have a very good week ahead, and I wish all of you a very happy Friday or Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, thank you so much. I booked you. I'll see you soon.